this case that the Supreme Court is considering whether the cross can be displayed on a federal preserve, whatever, I think this case is just a waste of time. It shouldn't even be considered a First Amendment issue. Yeah, it's freedom of speech, whatever. But here's a Christian man stroll in front of the Supreme Court with a cross. Now, this is very idiotic, because if this guy was educated, he would understand that this is just a pagan symbol. Now, in this picture, I have the various forms of execution. I have Saddam Hussein being, hanged. I have this idiot here with a cross. We have the lethal injection bed, and we have the brother in the gas chambers here. Now, any one of these methods could have been the way Christ died. It's just that he lived in an era in which the cross was supposed to be the cruelest form of punishment. And furthermore, it was Satan's desire to show that the God of heaven is killed on his symbol. The point to it is this: Christ came to die. It didn't matter how he died. He could have, if they weren't successful with the cross, he would have died from a heart attack, bearing the burden of sin and seeing how people he came to save and so forth treated him. But in his death, it was predicted that no bone would be broken, but his blood had to be shed. And of course, in the gas chamber, he would have died. No bone would have broken. He wouldn't have bled, except the strain and the stress of it might have caused some heart attack or some bursting of some vein or some capillary, whatever. That could have also sufficed. Well, the lethal injection, of course, when you inject somebody and pull out the needle, there's going to be bleeding. Of course, execution, the neck is lacerated, the bone, it depends on how far they drop. There will be asphyxiation, and probably the rope could cause some capillaries in the skin to bleed. That would have been enough, but they used the cross. And although it was predicted centuries before, it doesn't make it religious or important. In fact, the cross as we see it today, it don't seem to be the original one. It seemed to have been a T, as in a Tammuz. Just a T. The cross was right at the top. It wasn't a piece down so it would look as a cross. It was way up. But I guess they tried to disguise it by bringing it down a little and let it feel as if it's something special. Now, if again it was special, in the temple, God had in the Ark of the Covenant, he had Moses' rod, he had a bowl with the manna, he had the book with the laws, he had the stone, the 10 Commandments. I think that was about it. If this cross was important, he would have put a cross in there. Yes, he did use a cross with a serpent on it and to heal the folks when they had succumbed to a disease. But this is a continuing theme. Our religious preachers are not educated. They don't have an education. They just talk stupid stuff. If you have an education, you go to these guys' churches. The dumb stuff they talk about, you want to know how could they be paid a check for the stupidness they talk. The grammar wrong. They don't have training in theology. They don't know anything about counseling. They just know about theatrics and psychology and manipulating and a bunch of gimmicks. But basically, they're here celebrating a satanic symbol. Now, can you imagine if Christ was killed on a gurney in one of these lethal injection chambers? Everybody would be wearing a lethal chamber around his neck, or the gurney, or a gas chamber with a guy sitting on the chair and with the gas in his face, or with a rope, people wearing a rope around the neck or something. So all this whole sweat with the cross is just a waste of time. Now, many people allude to Paul's rejoicing. Paul said, I glory in the cross. And they figure that, he's talking about a wood. He's glorying in the wood. But he was glorying in the concept that what had been prophesied is happening, Christ's death on the cross. That is what he was glorying in, not the cross, because the cross is a pagan symbol. It's as if you are executed by the state and your family decides to wear a gas chamber or they're shot also. Bam! right, what they call it again, the shot, whatever. You'd wear a bullet, a gun around your neck. So I think that Christians need to get smarter and start studying and understand what they're doing, because this whole cross issue is irrelevant. Look how what's happening in the lives of the majority of folks. They don't know it. You could go into some big cities and you talk to a young person, you talk to them about the Bible. They don't know what the Bible is. You talk to them about Jesus. They don't know anything about that. His second coming. They don't know anything about that. There's so much work to be done in these cities. What's happening in Los Angeles and in Chicago, New York, these big cities, the killing, the harassing schools, etc., is because these folks have not had a chance to experience the love of God and religion. And this is what these preachers should be doing, trying to reach these folks. But all they do is have a big mega church, got the people jumping up and everything, talking nice stuff, making people happy, getting a big check, getting themselves a big salary, wearing a big diamond ring, got a big car, big life. I mean, they don't have the experience and the education for that kind of remuneration. If they were out in the world of work out there in the private sector, they might have just been a messenger or some office janitor or something like that. So I look at this thing as just a big joke. And the Supreme Court, of course, will consider it because it's precedent. They want to set on legal this and that. But one way or another, it doesn't matter. Because as far as God is concerned, it has no value. It's irrelevant.